Hello, my name is Ben Friedman here from the Betterverse, and today, in honor of the holiday Valentine's Day, I decided let's talk about some romantic comedies that you can watch this holiday season. First up, let's talk about the newest romantic comedy that also doubles as cringe comedy called You People. You People sees the return of Eddie Murphy on the big screen, really his first appearance since Dolomite Is My Name, in a true comedic performance alongside Seinfeld alum Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and features the star talent of actors such as David Duchovny and Jonah Hill. So with that all set, okay, so You People, this one's going to be a fun one to review. I don't get to do a lot of comedies on this channel because unfortunately comedies just aren't being made at the same plethora that they used to be about even 5 to 10 years ago. I accidentally threw my pen, oops. And so You People came out, and it has a great ensemble cast. Eddie Murphy is a legend. Jonah Hill, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. This trailer, which I know people were kind of hating on, I actually thought to be quite funny. And so going into You People, I was excited. I heard some of the negative reviews, but I wanted to go in with an open mind. For those who do not know what You People is, I will read you the synopsis right here. You People is a romantic cringe comedy that follows Ezra and Amira. Ezra is a 35-year-old Jewish podcaster played by Jonah Hill, and Amira is a black costume designer played by Lauren London. After a sudden engagement, the couple finds themselves trapped between their family's reconciliation with modern love, cultural classes, societal expectations, and generational differences. Ezra's parents are played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus and David Duchovny, and Amira's parents are played by Nia Long of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air fame and the famous Eddie Murphy. You People is directed by Kenya Barris, the creator of the show Blackish, and is written by Barris and Jonah Hill, and is currently available to stream on Netflix. So let's get into You People, which, again, at this moment has a fairly low critical score and audience score, in fairness, on Rotten Tomatoes. There's been some controversy around the movie. We're going to dive all into that. But first, let me give you my first impressions on You People. I thought this movie was actually quite funny. I thought the comedy worked throughout. I think, in particular, Jonah Hill and Lauren London really just got to shine the most in this film. Their comedy, their chemistry really worked for me in this movie. It is very cringe comedy. It is very offensive at times. And yet I just was so impressed that they were, one, willing to go there, two, that they were making jokes like that, which are very non-PC in a fairly more PC time, for better or worse, for comedies. And I just thought it felt like a very old school comedy, one that you would see in the era of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. It very much felt like a throwback to other comedies, even the ones that people like Eddie Murphy starred in 20 years ago. It really just felt like a movie that wasn't made anymore because comedies aren't being made anymore at the vast degree that they were. They're not as profitable as they used to be, and they're largely on streaming service. So for that, I really liked this comedy, and the cringe comedy really worked for me throughout. Like I said, I thought Jonah Hill was quite good in this movie, as was Lauren London. I didn't notice the controversy around the fact that the kiss was CGI, I guess London and Jonah Hill had a CGI kiss in this film. They didn't actually kiss in real life. I didn't notice that. That never crossed my mind while watching the movie, and I had known about not the controversy of that, but that story before, and I completely forgot about it while watching. I never noticed anything with their chemistry. I thought they had a pretty good rapport throughout this film. So that never bothered me, as I know it's been a big talking point about this movie. Never noticed it. I don't think anyone will actually notice it, and I think that's just kind of a fun story that's been floating around that people have been taking maybe a bit too seriously, or trying to figure out some controversy around it, or whether there was some not liking each other on set. I don't know why it was a CGI kiss, but again, just never noticed it. And in this film, I think everyone comes to play, especially David Duchovny, who plays Jonah Hill's father in this movie. I think he is incredibly funny, as is Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who is always a delight in anything she is in. In fact, I actually would say the weakest performance in this film is actually from Eddie Murphy. He was the only guy that I didn't think brought their A game to this material, and it's so largely due to the fact that he's so subdued in this role. he just doesn't get to have a lot of great laugh lines, and they don't write him anything that does him great favors. It really just gets to show the comedic force that he is. He has one scene in particular that involves him and his soon-to-be son-in-law, played by Jonah Hill, where they're in a car and they are listening to a very famous Kanye West and Jay-Z song about two people being in Paris. I will not quote that because I like my YouTube channel, but that scene is funny, but it's in the trailers, and that's probably the funniest Eddie Murphy gets to be in this movie, so that was a little bit of a letdown to have such a comedy icon and him not to get to do a lot. You just wanted Eddie Murphy to take over the movie, and he never takes it over at any point, but regardless, it still really worked for me. And like I said, I think that's largely due to the rest of the cast is kind of picking up the slack that Murphy doesn't get to do a lot of in this film, thus the comedy really works for me. Now, there are moments where the comedy goes a bit too far for my own taste, and I'm not talking about offensive or political or anything. It's that it tries to directly commentate on 2023 politics. It kind of felt South Park in the sense that South Park skewers everybody, but in this movie, it was just like, it was such a focused idea on racial relationships and mixed race families that when they went to those moments in the film, I'm just like, where are we going with this joke, or what are we doing here? Or it's not really set up throughout. And that's when I think the script can lose focus. And let's just get it out of the way. This is a very formulaic film by all accounts. This is a film that is Meet the Parents. You've seen this film thousands of times. Is it a little bit more raunchier than some of the other ones? Is it a little bit more offensive? Is the humor slightly different? Sure. But the formula of this film, kids meet the parents, that's this film. That is what this film is. And it is never shies away from that. And I think it's fine that it embraces that, but it's not anything revolutionary in that sense. I will say that the direction at times can be a little bit overwhelming. Kenya Barris very much relies on very famous needle drops from very famous rappers to kind of get the emotion, or even just the, what do you want to call it, the culture of the film without actually showing it. It's just kind of like, oh, well, this is a Jay-Z reference. Oh, this is a Kanye West reference. Oh, this is Frank Ocean music being here. Everyone knows that. It's very famous. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of, it's used as a shorthand. It never really feels like it pays off in a particularly satisfying way. I just found the music to be a distraction. And there's this music video element throughout this film that are kind of used as transitional scenes that did not work for me at all. I just kind of found it to add runtime and be a little bit cheesy. Yet, despite all those criticisms that I just had on this film, the reason I like this is because this comedy was offensively cringe in a way that I just don't think we get to see that much outside of shows like South Park. I mean, we just really don't get that type of comedy unless it is stand-up comedy or shows like South Park that can still get away with it. And I think it just reminded me that, like, it's okay to laugh. And, you know, some of the big controversy on this film has been the anti-Semitism of one particular scene. And that particular scene is involving Eddie Murphy's character and Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, the families coming together for dinner, and where black versus Jewish people come in question, and slavery and all that. And the scene is very pivotal in this scene. The scene is very pivotal in the movie, I should say. And the scene is very much intended to offend. I can say, as someone of Jewish heritage, that the jokes are purposely offensive, and that's very much the point. And anyone who is complaining about that, to some degree, I think they missed the point of the movie. And I don't know, I was fine laughing with it. At no point did I ever find it to be offensive in any way, in the sense that it was actually being directed at me or any of my family. It very much felt like, oh, well, this is just, you know, how some people still think or act or just treat Jewish people, and that's a real thing, and we're confronting that in this movie, dismantling stereotypes. That's how I found it, so it never bothered me. If it offended somebody, you know what, to each their own. I never found it to be offensive, and I thought that dialect of the movie and the criticism has been very drawn out and very loud for a scene that I think that is intended the point, and I think there are hundreds of other jokes in this movie that are just as offensive, if not equally more offensive. And again, never bothered me. I think the humor is done in a very funny way, and it is done in a very sweet way, in a sense, where it is It is trying to confront and address these issues instead of just ignoring it and pretending they are not there. This movie, You People, is very heads-on with it. And like I said, this movie felt like it was a movie we used to get all the time 10 to 20 years ago, but due to the fact that comedies just aren't mainstream anymore. I mean, this is an Eddie Murphy, Jonah Hill, Julia Louis-Dreyfus movie. 10 years ago, that's a big opening weekend in theaters. Now it's on Netflix and is probably already forgotten post less than 2 weeks after its release. And that's the shrinking success of a comedy. But again, I think this is a film that is maybe a little bit out of time just due to that. But I ultimately enjoyed it and I had a good time watching You People. I'm giving it 3 out of 4 stars here at the Beniverse. Anyway, all, thank you for watching this. I hope you have a great Valentine's Day. If you watched You People, let me know what you think. And if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe below. My name is Ben Friedman, film critic. Thank you all for watching. Take care and bye-bye.